Welcome in, gang. Coach is pumped to have you. He's got some big news in this one, some great connections. So it's going to be a really nice episode. Just sit tight. We'll breeze right through it. So first in the Canadian Football League, our beloved Eskimos, the Edmonton Elks, and their 2-game skid with a huge win, upset win to improve to 6-9 right after their beloved owner, who recently acquired the team, saved them from $3.3 million in debt, hometown guy who loved big fan of the team, all that sort of good stuff. He passes away. Even better, okay? Even better. Now, his wife takes over, first female owner in the league's history, just like our girl Firestone Ford for the Detroit Lions. Isn't that something? Right there's a $3.3 million coach was telling you about. So, our Eskimos, they have 14 Grey Cups, only second to the Argonauts. Who knows? We might even pass them at some point. Let's see here. What else do you got? So, of course, they're honoring him. Oh, I guess Coach did some sort of video there. Let's go ahead. Okay. So, Miles Garrett, he walked into the game, the Browns-Lions game, with a basketball. Coach thinks that's a Kobe Bryant nod. Of course, he's also part owner of the Cavs. Coach is thinking smart money is Lakers-Cavs. So, Coach thinks it's Lakers all the way. And we're either getting Lakers-Cavs, Lakers-Knicks, or Lakers-Sixers. Right, because the Sixers are bringing back the 2000 and 2001 jerseys. It has been 25 years since that. They could just be running that back. And, of course, they could always have LeBron go to the Warriors and rematch the Cavs that way. Right, but we could be looking at Guardians-Dodgers. Right, of course, they still got that 76 logo. They were originally the team Coach had for the Indians. They beat them in the 1920 World Series. So the Dodgers are on Coach's short list. The National League's really tough. Right. Coach says smart money is just taking the Indians to win the American League, but the National League, there's actually a lot of suitors that they could do Cubs rematch. Coach doesn't like it. They could do Brewers rematch. That's the coach's favorite one. The Padres have been cursed for exactly the same amount of years as the Brewers. Maybe it's them. Right. Coach doesn't buy it. But, the Dodgers, Coach thinks is like the second scariest one. So, in order, he likes the Brewers the best, then the Dodgers, then I guess the Padres, then the Cubs, then behind them the Reds. Everybody else is like nothing to Coach. That's like the majority of the playoffs in the NL. So, it's tough to call it, but we're still riding the Brewers and hoping that works out for us. It's interesting, Gibbs, the Lions, running back, the coach says is going to make the Hall of Fame along with the other running back in their backfield, David Montgomery. Coach says we got 2 Hall of Famers there. But Gibbs, he shares the same name as the legendary Skins coach. And, it's just a great name. Well, Gibbs is in a commercial right now, too, where they call him by name. And then, so Dylan Gabriel got on the field against the Lions. Coach was actually going to predict that, and he forgot because the Lions were Honolulu Blue. And Dylan Gabriel's from Hawaii. So Honolulu Blue, the Hawaii QB. Detroit was the first team to wear numbers. Very interesting, seeing as Browns legendary coach Bill Belichick requires his players not to wear numbers, so they are forced to learn each other's names. Progressive Field, where the Indians play. This is a deep cut for Coach. Let him cook a little bit. Okay, so Trump's first go-around when he wins president. The first half of the Grover Cleveland saga, right, before Biden. So Trump comes in, he wins it. Well, who did everybody? A lot of people say would have beaten Trump. A lot of people believe Bernie Sanders would have beaten Trump. Coach would have voted for Bernie Sanders had he have won the nomination. After that, Coach vowed to never vote again because he thinks it's all rigged bullshit. And the way Sanders conceded to Hillary, Coach said that he was in on the take too. So Coach immediately turned on Bernie as well, right? He doesn't like any politicians at all, period. He thinks they're all crooks, including Bernie Sanders. So, of course, Sanders, right? So there we got the Sanders thing coming into play. Coach didn't even think about that BS, right? Bernie Sanders, Barry Sanders, right? Of course, you also got Barry, Barack Obama. Now, with Bernie, though, the people who followed him they identified as the progressive section of the Democratic Party. Okay, whereas the Hillary Clinton types, they were considered like establishment Democrats, right? Now, the progressives got blamed for Hillary losing, which is the perfect scapegoat, right? They're the they're the clan that didn't back Hillary, right? But what they said was that all the progressives ran and voted for Trump, which didn't make any sense. Progressives would have been the last type to tell you to vote for Trump because he, is some big oligarch, right? Greedy type, the polar opposite of the more commie leaning Bernie types, right? Generalizing, of course, but you get it. So the progressives get blamed for Trump getting the election the first go around, when really, if you're calling it straight, you're gonna say it was CNN's nonstop coverage making fun of Trump, saying he was a joke and there was no chance he could possibly win. Coach said right there he was gonna win it, right? You know how it is. It's pretty easy, right? So so the progressives, they get blamed for Trump getting into office. Trump tries to buy the Indians, wants the Indians to change their name, and they play at Progressive Field. So we think that's interesting. Flacco leading the league in interceptions. Coach could have told you that one. I wish there was like some sort of prop bet Coach would have known about. He didn't even think about trying to cash on it. But yeah, of course he's doing god awful, throwing the game away. Oh, isn't this nice? Man, they're saying UNC illegally hired Bill Belichick for the head coach position, so UNC can basically renege on the contract and weasel out of it, right, and not have to pay him, right? So it's because he got hired behind closed doors. It wasn't like approved by the board or some bullshit, right? So very interesting that's the story when we want him to get ran out of town. This is very interesting. So Shedeur Sanders put on the sunglasses before doing a reaction test, and he let them all hit the ground basically, right? And dude said, put the glasses on. He turned into Ray Charles. What do you know? Coach says that that Shedeur is Jamie Foxx, and Jamie Foxx has the movie Ray, where he plays Ray Charles. So isn't that interesting? Goff had a baby. They're calling it his Goff Spring. So there's that stupid pun. There's Gabriel. Dude named Baker, who is a conductor on the Underground Railroad, connected to Detroit. We thought that was interesting. Browns broke the color barrier in 46. What do you know? They win in 46. That's their first championship. Let's see. Of course, we know they also won 49. What's this? Oh, yeah. So Browns, 31 straight games without allowing a 300-yard passer, and they're still they've only won 4 games in that time, pretty much. That was interesting. Days since you had a walk-off hit by pitch to make the playoffs. Cleveland, 0 days. MLB, what? Right, so it's first time ever someone got clinched the playoffs because they got hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. Barry Sanders has 25 NCAA records. Okay, that goes perfectly. We had him on the cover of Madden 25. They flip it, or not flip it. Then in Madden 2025. Barry ends his tenure with Madden, right? So he likes Madden 25th anniversary, but not Madden 2025. And then Barry was also on the cover the year he retired prematurely. He was in the background, so that's interesting. This is pretty random, but Coach, so pumped about calling the 3-0 comeback against the Yankees back in 2004 for the Sox, but Coach said he admits he was like, I didn't, after that I stopped caring completely. I knew it was in the bag, but it's not like I knew who we were going to beat. So when it was the Cardinals, I was like, that seems random. What the fuck's the Cardinals, right? But apparently we had some beef with them. They beat us way back in the day. So there's that. Mariners, they clinched their division or whatever, and then their manager or one of their players comes out and says, now he's got to go win the whole fucking thing, which is a major league quote. What do you know? So we feel like that's a nod to our Indians, and we think the Indians got to smack the shit out of the Mariners anyway. They got the other brother, the other nailer, right? We've got Bo, they've got Josh, or the other way around, I can't remember. But they made some terrible, god-awful fucking T-shirts from the Big Dumper. Might as well win the whole trucking thing. So if you want your Big Dumper to win the whole trucking thing, you can be a Mariners fan. If you're like into fucking monster trucks or whatever cringe shit, that's the fucking corniest shit I've ever heard. Anyway, Carson and Donovan McNabb both going Eagles, Skins, Vikings. That can't be a coincidence. Very interesting. To me, that screams that Wentz is cooked. Now let's see here. Oh yeah, so Cleveland. So first of all, the Braves, the Atlanta Braves, they don't change their name, right? They stick with the Braves thing. The MLB pulls their all-star game. Cleveland, they changed to the Guardians from the Indians. They do get their all-star game. The NBA also gave them an all-star game just a few years ago. And in that game, the MVP was Steph Curry for Team LeBron. What do you know? So that's something. There's the protest. Of course, they blamed it on some dumb shit. Let's see here. Okay, this is really good. So Coach was thinking about that 99-mile-an-hour pitch that smashed our Guardian right in the face, and they were like talking about like it exploded his face, right? Like they were just being hyperbolic in the moment, right? But like the big people like Jim Rome and stuff, they're like his face just got exploded by a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Like think about like what Randy Johnson's pitch did to that bird, blah 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 blah. So they're saying it's just a broken nose, right? But Coach was hit with the magic a little bit. He didn't quite see through it immediately, and with Coach, it had nothing to do with like any sort of belief that the dude was really hurt. Coach could have cared less about the player, right? Apart from whatever they tell you happened to him, Coach didn't think anybody was actually in danger, right? He thinks it's a big stunt, but Coach was really concerned about the pennant race, or the division race, sorry, right? Because our Guardians hadn't even sealed a playoff berth yet. So all Coach could keep thinking about was how many games we're going to win, how many we're going to lose. Fuck this guy, right? He immediately, like, threw it away, right? Didn't even, or at least, like, we'll figure it out later. Well, today was the day Coach was like, let's start figuring that one out, right? Because the dust has settled. We're in the Guardians, and I'm like, isn't that kind of weird? Our dude just got blasted by a 100-mile-an-hour fastball to the face. And I got Coach thinking, I was like, wait a second. Didn't we have a motherfucker get hit by the pitch and die? And Coach is looking around, look below his ball cap. You can't see, but that's his Old Dominion ball cap. Coach took a shitty picture here. Below his Old Dominion ball cap, the pitch that killed. So Coach has to read this thickie now. Okay, Ray Chapman. What do you know? Let's check out old Ray, right? Old Ray Chapman. Entire career as a shortstop for the Cleveland Indians. Isn't that something? And lived all the way until just 5 years ago. This dude lived... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. 105 years ago. See, that was toy Coach stupid. Let him slide on that one. Anyway, I was like, holy fuck. But then I was like, he couldn't have been a curse because they kept winning. That doesn't make sense. But no, that makes more sense. So, yeah, he played 8 years. Oh, yeah, he died. What the fuck am I talking about? So he died over 100 years ago. Okay. So he died 105 years ago. That's interesting. 105 years ago, died on the 15th. There's a 1-5 again. Seems like a little something maybe. Of course, he's in their Hall of Fame. So this was like the spitball era. This was before, 20. So this was like right after the Babe Ruth trade and stuff. So like balls were just starting to get cranked, right? They were just starting to figure out hitting home runs and that sort of stuff, really. And let's see. This is with the naps. The naps. Hold on. Nap. First of all, they talk about how there's no nap time in kindergartens anymore. That's one thing. But nap is an anarcho-capitalist term. Hold on. Non-aggressive principle. The non-aggression principle. Okay? So basically, it's their way. We don't have any laws, but here's our rule. Right? So a coach doesn't quite understand it. But obviously it's supposed to be like the golden rule, but there's no way to enforce it, right? So just another, the nap is just basically another way to sell you the golden rule. Coach is down with the golden rule, but basically anarcho-capitalists, people who believe there should be no government but still capitalism somehow. They cling to the nap pretty strictly. So his death was ultimately what led to them wearing batting helmets, although it wouldn't have been until 30 years later. But Coach tells you they always have these incidents to like justify making more rules, all that sort of stuff. Now, let's see what else we got. 67, right? Single season record for sacrifice hits was 67. This team's all about small ball, so little things like sacrifice hits, like they're not gonna go out and hit like grand slams, right? Like they're gonna lay down a sacrifice hit or a bunt or something stupid, right? So this guy had the most sacrifices ever. That's what the Guardians are all about. Also sacrifice, right? So the guy who died on the field, right, led in sacrifices, right? And they would tell you he was a sacrifice, right? So Stuffy McGinnis. And in 1917, he set a team record of 52 stolen bases. So 52, that's a flip of 2025. Hitting 303, that's a palindrome. 97, flip of 76. So, and then check one of the few players whom Ty Cobb considered a friend. Yeah, in Field of Dreams, they make fun of Ty Cobb, right? They said that he wanted to come, but they didn't invite him because everybody thinks he's a dick, right? But Ty Cobb was a career Detroit Tiger. Isn't that interesting? Right? And Catherine Daly, Coach did his big Daily Show thing, Carson Daly, right? Johnny Carson, blah, blah, blah. Let's see here. Tommy Connolly. Remember Tommy O'Connell was the quarterback for the Browns when the Browns and the Lions faced off in the championship. Anything else? Doesn't seem like it. 46. The Indians moved there in 46. So the Indians moved to Cleveland Stadium the same year the Browns broke the color barrier and won their championship, their first one.